Hello you guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm excited because today I'm making spaghetti. And what goes amazing with spaghetti? Fresh garlic rolls. And I decided I can do that. So today we're going to be making fresh garlic rolls. You're going to start off with 1 cup and 2 tablespoons of warm but not boiling water. And it's important that this water is not boiling because you don't want to kill your yeast. Then you're gonna get your active yeast, your active dry yeast, and you're going to use 2 full tablespoons. Oops, that's okay. We'll count that as 1. I need to get some more yeast, you guys. Boop. Just like that. It's pretty much right. Okay, so 2 full tablespoons of your active dry yeast, and it doesn't say this on the recipe, but I'm gonna add a little bit of honey because I want it to be a tiny bit sweet, but at the same time, I also want to feed that yeast so it activates quickly. Let me grab the honey. Okay, you can do about a tablespoon of this. Not gonna really measure it. That's probably enough, whatever that was. Okay, now I'm gonna give this a quick whisk, and then I'm going to wait about 5 minutes just so that it can properly activate. And I'll know it's nice and ready once it starts to kind of foam up, which I'll make sure I show you guys a close-up of. Alrighty, you guys, so while this was blooming, I went ahead and I got some of my other ingredients together. I have 3.5 cups of flour. It is actually bread flour. You can use all-purpose flour if you don't have bread flour, but I'm telling you right now, using bread flour will make all the difference in your life when you are baking, when it comes to just the soft rolls that you really want. That is a big key to it. I also have 1/4 cup of sugar. I have some salt. I didn't measure it. I'm not planning to measure it. I'm gonna just do what feels right. But I believe the recipe says, like, what does it say? 1 teaspoon of salt. I have 1 egg, and I'm also going to pour in 1/3 cup of olive oil. Now, it said that I was supposed to put this in here while it was blooming the yeast, which I'm not gonna lie, that's different than usual. You normally don't add this in at first, but you know, that's fine. So it's been blooming for about 3 minutes, I would say. I also preheated my oven to 400 degrees. So I just added that in. The yeast is actually already starting to bloom. Let me give you guys a close-up of that. As you can see, it's starting to get puffy. And so that's what you want. And so this is actually a really good way to test out and make sure your yeast is not bad or old or anything like that before you mix all the ingredients. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna give that a little bit of a whisk just because I just put that olive oil in there. And the instructions also did say if you don't have olive oil, it is fine if you use, you know, canola oil or something like that. All of that's mixed in, the yeast is blooming, it's all puffy and stuff, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start adding the rest of the ingredients. So it says to go ahead and add 2 cups of the 3.5 cups of flour. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna just kind of try to do best I can without knocking it all in there. Okay, cool, that worked out. So that's about 2 cups. And I'll keep the rest to the side. So I have about 1.5 cups left of that. And then it says to add the salt. Again, not measuring this, just gonna do what feels right, right? So let's just, that's probably, what did I say it's supposed to be? A teaspoon? Yep, that's probably a teaspoon of salt. Probably. Okay, so we're good on that. We're going to add the egg. When do I add the sugar? Why didn't it say add the sugar? I'm gonna put the sugar in here. There's the egg. Done with that. I'm gonna put the sugar. It don't say put the sugar. Maybe they forgot to write put the sugar. I'm gonna go ahead and put the sugar. Okay. Alrighty. And so now, I'm going to get my stand mixer, and just so you know, You can do this without a stand mixer. I used to do all my bread without a stand mixer. So it's very possible. Obviously, it's a bit more laborsome, but it can be done. All right, I'm gonna get my dough hook. I'm going to hook it on here, turn it so it's nice and set. I'm gonna put this down. I'm gonna lock it, and then I'm gonna put it on about 4. And I'm gonna let it do what it do, okay? So let's let it do that for a minute. All right, you guys, so this has been mixing for about 2 minutes. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna turn it off. I am going to lift it up. Some people add flour in while the mixer is on. I just feel like sometimes that creates a situation for a little bit of a mess. So it's said to add the flour slowly, right? So I'm gonna add some. I'm gonna scrape down the sides just to make sure everything is getting incorporated nice and evenly, like so. And then I'm gonna close my mixer, lock it, and then I'm gonna turn it back on. Ooh, it's getting a little dusty. I might need to get one of those shields that, you know, keep it from me, but it's all right. Yay, dough! Okay. I don't want to stop it again, but I don't want to mess you guys. Okay. Let me try to add some of this in without stopping it. You see that? This is exactly why I stopped it. It started immediately. Hold on. That's what I didn't want. Exactly what I didn't want. Let's push it down. I don't know if I need any more flour than this. There's a little bit left. I'm gonna see what it looks like after, but I don't know. I think we might be good on the flour. You don't want to add too much flour and make it dense. A lot of times recipes will give you a range of how much flour to use, and it'll be a range of about a cup. Half a cup to a cup, and the reason for that is the temperature in the room, the elevation of the city you live in, all of this is going to determine what is going to happen while you are baking. If you need to bake a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, if you need a little more flour, a little bit less flour. So that's why you typically see a range. And also because measuring cups are different, which is why a lot of times people will also just do their recipe in grams. This particular recipe was not listed in grams, it was listed in cups, so I made sure I used my measuring cup. I do have a scale, so then if I go to a recipe and it's using actual grams, then I use my scale. And so I just try to go based on whatever I see is happening in the original recipe. Let's turn this back on, so because we're not playing with this mess. We're going to lock it, and now we're going to turn it back on to about 4. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna end up using the rest of this flour. I don't want my dough to be too dense. I want to make sure the rolls are still very nice, light, and fluffy. It's a little thick. You hear that? My thing is working. Let me stop it. I'm gonna stop it. Okay, the dough is actually still moist. It just sounds, just sounds intense. Let me help it out a little bit. We love our machines, but still need that human touch at times. So let me scrape this down. Okay. No, I've made these rolls before. Looking at this, I don't like the moisture consistency. I feel like it's not as moist as it should be, but I'm gonna keep going for now. let's keep going for now. And one of the reasons that you want to make sure that you are mixing an appropriate amount of time is because you're allowing that gluten to really develop and form the way that it needs to. Oh, my oven temperature is ready, 400 degrees. But yeah, one of the reasons that you want to make sure that you're mixing this for the appropriate amount of time is because you want to let that gluten develop and form properly so that your rolls actually rise. All right, you guys, so I have cleaned the counter. Next up, the next step, I'm gonna take some of this flour that was left and I'm just gonna sprinkle it onto the counter, not too much. You do see that I put on some gloves. The reason I put on gloves is because my nails are long, okay? You don't actually have to put on gloves for this part, but I often put on gloves if my nails are long or if I'm like cooking for other people, not just like my family, then I will also use the gloves because I don't know, I want to, right? So I'm kneading the dough a little bit. I'm hoping I'm not over kneading it. It feels almost like bagel dough. And for you, that may not mean anything, but bagel dough is definitely tougher than your traditional bread or yeast roll dough. I've made these before, but it wasn't, I don't know, very recently. So I'm hoping that by trusting the process, which is the name of the game in baking, that this is still gonna turn out well, or at least like something that's worth eating still. I don't wanna put too much on it as far as the, kneading is concerned. So that's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cut it and then I'm gonna sit it into the tray. So let me get my knife. So just gonna cut this into some slightly even, you could say, sizes. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing very well. Let me adjust the camera a little bit. Okay, this might be a bit better. So let's cut this up into pieces. You can take out a scale and weigh these if you want to. I'm not going to, but often people will do that to make sure it's like really even pieces. I'm just gonna eyeball it. Now I'm gonna roll these into like a ball. And I'm going to place them into my baking tray. You can put butter at the bottom of this if you want to. I'm not going to, but if you want to. You know what, actually, maybe I should, because that could help if it's a little less soft than I want it to be. Nah. Oh, should I put butter in the bottom of this pan? Yeah, let's do it. I actually just made some homemade butter, and so let's do it. Which also, make sure you check out that video if you haven't seen it. Let me grab the butter, hold on. So here's the homemade butter. If you have never made butter, this is like, it is the easiest thing that you can make. Go check out that video, right? I'm not gonna do a lot of rhyme or reason to this. I'm just gonna cut some chunks and let it be what it is. Like this. Okay, not too much, but just, I don't know, something. If I was to say how much butter I put in the bottom of this pan, it's probably only like a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a quarter. So it's not a lot, right? So again, just gonna take my rolls, the ones that I've rolled up already, and I'm gonna start placing them into the pan. And what you see me doing in the beginning is just kind of folding over these rolls to give them like a form and a shape before I start rolling. So basically you just fold them into each other. Fold the corners that are there from cutting kind of into each other, and then just give it a nice little roll. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's gonna turn out beautifully either way. Boom. This one's a little big, but that's okay. As long as they're all approximately the same size, like it'll cook evenly. Don't worry about it. Last roll, and we're just gonna tuck it into this last little space right here. Make room for me. Okay, now before I pop this into the oven, I am going to let it rise just right here on the counter. Not gonna cover it or anything, for about 10 minutes, and then I'll pop it into the oven, okay? So we'll be right back, you guys. All right, you guys, so I ended up deciding to let my dough be covered, and here are the rolls. They actually definitely started rising. So here they are now. You can go back and look at what they were like before, but these definitely rose. So it's been about 10 minutes. In the meantime, I started whipping some more butter because I'm gonna be making some bagels, you guys. I'm so excited about it. If you love an Asiago bagel, you do not want to miss the video that I'm gonna do about that. But now I'm going to be popping these into the already preheated oven for about 10 minutes. Alrighty, and just like that, I have the timer set. And I would say, yeah, these rolls genuinely take about 30 minutes to make. From the blooming of the yeast, which takes about 5 minutes, and then the mixing of all the ingredients with the dough, etc., which takes about another 10 minutes, and then you're gonna be 10 minutes in the oven. So we're at about 25 minutes. You guys, look at how beautiful my rolls are. And you can tell they are incredibly soft, actually. Okay. So we're going to go back to our handy dandy fresh whipped butter. I'm gonna get a little bit, and I'm gonna just start rubbing it on the top. Oh my gosh. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take a wooden dowel thing and I'll stick it into 1 or 2 pieces of bread, a bagel, cinnamon roll, whatever I'm making, just to make sure that it's actually done. Let me give you guys a close-up of this. Look at these rolls, you guys. Incredible. Whoops, lost a little bit of butter there. It's okay. All right, you guys, as the sun sets and we are about to eat dinner, I did end up popping these back into the oven just to get them a little more brown, and they turned out beautifully. I think they're, well, not I think they're officially done now. They're officially done now. I would say my rolls took about 14 minutes as opposed to 10 minutes. Again, baking times have to do with elevation, the heat in your kitchen, all of those things. But I hope you guys try out this recipe. If you don't have a mixer, you can do all of this by hand. I definitely used to. And you know, it's rewarding to make your own bread without all the things in it. That's one of the things that got me into making bread, was not, once I looked on the package and saw all the preservatives, all the things that were going into bread that don't actually need to be in bread, I said, let me see if I could do it myself. And it turned out I could, so I hope you try too. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, you guys, peace.